Hey, hey, hey! How are ya? Man, what a wild time we're living in. I am feeling pretty activated right now. Really stressful day. But you know, all is well. There's always solutions. Even though I feel stress, there's always solutions. And so, I've had the intention for a while now that the book is done. This is my little draft copy. I want to start recording the audiobook so this information can get out to help the world return to love, help us remember the power that we have. And I'm going to start reading. The story that I start the book with is happened around 2008, and so this story is about that time when so the end of being a musician and when I started becoming an environmental activist and had these pretty powerful spiritual experiences. I didn't know what was going on, so I didn't really tell anybody for a long time. It just kind of was close to my heart. It was really powerful. Happened a couple times. But now's the time to share this so that we understand that there's more going on than what we're taught. This first chapter is called The Rainbow Portal of Light. So, back in 2008, when I first began meditating, my head was full of thoughts. Once I let go of trying to figure everything out, the answers I was seeking were gently shared to me as a calm inner voice. I realized I was not alone and that many other beings were working to help me. From an early age, I had a healthy habit of sunbathing because it felt so good. I would lay down on the ground after lunch to let the sun's warmth wash over me. When I would be there for a while, at least 15 minutes to half an hour or more, I would experience a feeling of good energy within me that healed and recharged my body and mind. When I was complete, I would get up feeling solidly relaxed and refreshed to be inspired for taking action on the next part of the day. The key to my healing was to let go of all tension in my body with my eyes closed. I would relax on the exhale as I breathed fully and deeply, not in a forced way, but in a natural way, feeling into my edge gently and enjoying the relaxing exhale with a pause of peace and relief. My breath would begin to deepen as I relaxed, and soon my body would fill with warm, peaceful energy, and it was a joy and pleasure to be alive. In my late 20s, I began my spiritual awakening and dedicated myself to helping the world become sustainable. I was so focused on searching for the solutions that I had neglected by being too focused outside of myself with my mind. The Buddhists teach us about the concept of grasping, where we are going outside of ourselves for something, and we can get lost and depleted by being too outwardly focused. As I remembered my enjoyment of coming fully into my body with relaxed, deep breathing on the earth, I eventually would reach a place I call the still point. This place has no thoughts, just a soft feeling of openness with a depth of expansive peace. It took me a while to get to this still point. I had to learn how to relax my focus softly away from my mind and how to merge back into my body and heart. It was hard to stop doing and simply learn to be. I'd feel myself make progress, and then more thoughts would come. If I started thinking again, I'd catch myself and return back to my body and breath, learning to enjoy the simple pleasure of feeling air move in and out of my body. By creating this peace of mind, it opened up the space to receive calm and clear guidance on what steps I needed to do next. When this guidance first came into my mind, I began asking back, "Who are you?" And the response was, we are you. After this first contact, I was naturally feeling drawn to this new friend I met through permaculture who was super chill, calm, and positive. He suggested I read some books related to Buddhism. One book had instructions for connecting and communicating with the higher self. I began asking my higher self for guidance throughout the day on all subjects with simple yes or no questions. I was surprised with the answers that I received. Some truth was hard to accept. So I'd ask again, and I'd ask again to make sure the answer was real. And it was. I learned that my higher self was always right, and I began to trust it absolutely like a best friend. When I was a young child, I remember feeling so much love in my body. Each breath I took would fill my body with warm energy. This breath was automatic, and I felt relaxed and happy in my body. I was able to stay in a bubble of bliss, even if the world around me was full of stressful chaos. I was aware that my thoughts were creating reality. I would think about something that I wanted, and it would just come to me by someone being inspired. This happened over and over throughout my young life, and I thought everyone was living this way. One time I saw another kid riding his bike, and I had a flash of a vision in my mind, seeing him falling on his bike. When I attached the vision of him falling, he fell. After this, I became afraid to think of anything that was potentially negative for someone because I did not want it to come true. I only wanted to see and feel people happy. As I grew into a teenager, I got caught up with popular culture and could see that I was not like everyone else. I felt alone, so I wanted to be accepted. So I began to learn how to be like the others. I decided that I wanted to entertain and make my friends laugh, so I mimicked the acting in funny movies by becoming silly and immature. I tried to be funny by saying things that were not true, but acting as if they were, to make people laugh. Little did I realize that I was lowering my vibration from the higher dimensions of pure love and absolute truth into a lower dimension of duality and individual ego. This stepping down of my focus began to cut me off from my magic. I was so fascinated with connecting with others that I forgot about how life was before. I was completely distracted by the human experience. I was caught up in a never-ending stream of thoughts and actions. This journey kept me away from the bliss that was normal to me as a child. Instead, I was focused on creating that feeling of happiness through reactions from people, entertainment, and junk food. Feelings were temporary, and I kept seeking more. I forgot that I could feel a constant state of happiness and contentment within myself naturally. So after experiencing myself as a musician and moving to Las Vegas in my 20s, I explored the magnificent nature of the West and had an awakening where I could sense the difference between real and not real. One morning when camping, the songs of the birds sounded like a symphony, with the wind blowing through the trees in perfect harmony. This was real. It was clear to me that Las Vegas and its man-made chaotic suffering was not real. I decided to completely let go of being a musician and dedicated myself to helping the world. I moved back to my hometown later that year and connected with environmental groups to see how I could help spread awareness to change our world into a sustainable one. I felt inspired to purify myself and stop drinking alcohol and became vegetarian. I exercised almost every day, riding my bike to the farmer's market around town. On my lunch breaks, I would lay in the sun in the backyard and close my eyes. I'd relax and breathe deeply. It felt so good in my body to receive the sun's warmth and energy. I was feeling recharged and happy. Around this time, I kept seeing a black dot show up in my vision, grabbing my attention. One day I was laying down under the sun, and I surrendered and allowed this dot to move into the center of my vision with my eyes closed. I could feel the inside of my head moving as the dot moved. I felt incredible love in my body. I felt safe enough to allow the experience to happen. From this place of deep acceptance and trust, the dot opened and became larger, like an eye opening. This black dot opened in my mind's eye with a layer of red glowing around the center circle. As I breathed and relaxed, I could feel and see the red expanding outwards. It looked like a nebula in space surrounding this black hole center. After red, the other basic colors began to appear from the center and push the red color further back into my mind. I could feel each color expanding as energy in my body. After red, orange expanded, and then yellow around that. It looked like an eye in my mind. The colors continued to progress with green, blue, and violet to become a rainbow that completely filled me. I asked my higher self what to do, and it told me to relax, breathe, and allow. My consciousness began to fly forward through the black hole, and I traveled along this wonderful rainbow tube of light. This was a portal. I was being transported to another world where human-like beings were walking around, and I was being taken somewhere. We were in bodies, but they were not physical. Everything was energy. The feelings I experienced were out of this world. It was like I was living in electric love. I was buzzing with ecstasy, and I felt no pain in my body. I felt a zest for life. I was told by the loving beings with me that I would not remember much of the experience. I am lucky to remember going to this world and a few moments of what it looked and felt like. They reprogrammed me to remove bad habits that I had created for myself, and I remember it felt so amazing to be there that I didn't want to leave. But then almost instantly, I was back in my body. This happened to me a few times around 2008 and 2009. After the first couple times, I was in shock and I didn't tell anyone. I didn't really know what had happened, and I was still focused on helping the world with activism and researching how to live in a sustainable way. I wanted to recreate these amazing spiritual experiences, and I kept trying to leave my body by smoking a large amount of cannabis. I thought that the goal of being spiritual was leaving the body. It took me many years to realize that the goal was actually to stay in my body and bring these powerful and loving energies down into me to embody the love and light. The out-of-body experience stopped for a few years, but my inner guidance became a lot stronger. I was having full conversations all the time in my head about reality with my higher self and my team of guides. I was also aligning and healing my body through yoga and expanding my breath, feeling how I could move energy and affect the world around me. I didn't have the words to describe what was happening to me, so I started to learn as much as I could about spirituality. I began meditating every day with my eyes closed, and sometimes I would put my hands over my eyes to block out all external light so I could better focus inward. I would relax and allow, and I would see flashes of the past in my mind's eye that showed me that I've always been watched over and helped. For example, I chose to be self-employed in an early age. When I needed money, work would come to me. When I needed a break to rest, work would pause down and slow enough for me to recharge. I realized that I was creating my life experience through my desires, and I was being helped. Through meditation, I kept asking inside to know the truth about life. I asked them why I had to experience suffering. They told me I had chosen to experience what life was like for average Americans. I was allowed to do so because I would come through the experience with understanding and compassion. I would know where people were coming from and why they did what they did. I could then help them with guidance because I had gone through it myself. I was remembering who I really was, an agent of change here to help. During this time of remembering and learning, I was introduced to teachings of Abraham Hicks. They teach about laws of the universe such as law of attraction and the law of allowing. The law of attraction is a function of this universe. We connect and bring to us what we focus on and think about. We have the law of attraction work easier for us by relaxing into the state of allowing. By being relaxed and at ease with everything that is, the river of desire flows freely. As Bruce Lee said, we must be like the water, my friends. Being in the flow is when you've learned how to easily let go of things that don't feel good because you're more focused on the good feelings. It becomes easier to let go with practice. It takes trust, surrender, and courage to let go of your desires or thoughts of having to know why something isn't working, and simply relax into the flow of love. When I let go of my ego's desires and trying to figure out everything in my mind, I was able to surrender into the direction of my body's feelings. My life began to change rapidly for me because I got out of the way. Miracles began to happen again, and I was no longer resisting the flow of the universe. Life was fun again. Abraham is a group of beings that work through Esther Hicks. This is known as channeling. It's where someone opens their body with full trust and allows another being or beings to speak through them. This should be done with great care if you choose to experience this yourself or listen to people that channel. Always work with beings of pure light. You'll know the truth by how you feel. There are many trickster spirits wanting to use us, and they may pose as the light. In spiritual circles and even the church, they are around, so be aware. It's very important you make your own personal direct connection to the highest and purest source. Then you will easily be able to tell who is truly in the light by how you feel in your body. Now here's a tip on abundance. When you appreciate what you have and feel grateful, you radiate the frequency of appreciation and love. This will help you attract more good things into your life. Abraham teaches that we should not create desires from a place of lack or worry, but first get into what they call the vortex. This magical place of creation, known as the vortex, is accessed when we are relaxed, centered in our heart, and allowing everything to be as it is. When we're creating with our thoughts and desire, the feelings that we have within us carry on with the creation. The feelings will attract others with similar vibrations. So if we want to attract positive people and situations, we must create from that same place. To create peace in the world, we must have and feel peace within.